Chapter 1. Turkey, Lies, and Roommate Alibis. The first lie came out with the cranberry sauce. I hadn't meant to say it. Really. One minute, I was on a group video call with my entire family. Mom, Dad, Grandma, don't touch my pie, 3 cousins, and my sister Becca. And the next minute I was blurting out, actually, I do have a fiancé. The room, Zoom went silent. Even the cat in the background paused mid-hairball. You have a what now? My mother asked, arching an eyebrow that could shatter glass. I didn't hear that, Grandma said, adjusting her hearing aids. Did he say fiancé or finance? I hope it's finance. We could use one in this family. Fiancé, I repeated, because I'm an idiot with a panic disorder. His name is Drew. Yup, Drew. As in my ultra-serious, painfully organized, law student roommate who color codes our fridge and once filed a noise complaint because my plants were too chatty near his study corner. What a name, Becca grinned. Can't wait to meet him at Thanksgiving. And that, my friends, is how I doomed myself to a 4-day holiday trip back home to Ohio with a fake fiancé I hadn't even asked yet. Back in our apartment, I tried breaking the news over takeout. So, I began, handing Drew his pad thai and internally screaming, "Want to come to my family's Thanksgiving? As my fake fiancé?" Drew blinked, slowly, the kind of blink that lawyers probably practice in court. I beg your pardon? I tried to explain. Desperation poured out like cheap gravy. They've been on my case for years about not dating. My sister just got engaged, and my mom's hinting I freeze my eggs. And I panicked. Okay? You were the only person in eyesight. You were holding a ring light. It felt symbolic. I was changing a light bulb. Semantics. He sighed. You want me to pretend to be your fiancé in front of your entire family? For 4 days? In a town full of casseroles and unfiltered opinions? Exactly. Long pause. Then, fine. I nearly dropped my spring roll. Wait, what? I've been trying to dodge my own family's Black Friday intervention for years, he said, rubbing his temple. I'd rather fake propose to a raccoon than listen to Aunt Patty discuss cryptocurrency again. We shook hands like shady businessmen brokering a lie. Deal, he said, and so it began. The car ride to Ohio was 5 hours of romantic boot camp. Favorite flower? Drew asked while adjusting his GPS. Caffeinated daisies, I answered. You? I'm allergic to sentiment. Perfect. Opposites attract. We made up the story, met in a library, bonded over Shakespeare and snack bars. First date at a museum, proposal at a botanical garden. He even agreed to wear my dad's old engagement ring. Don't ask why I have it. It's complicated and involves Becca's failed goth phase. But things got real the moment we pulled into my parents' driveway. My mom ran out in a flurry of oven mitts and tears, hugging me like I just returned from war. Then she turned to Drew. And you must be the angel who finally got Charles to stop dating disaster artists. Hi, I'm Drew, he said politely. My dad clapped his shoulder. Welcome to the family, son. If you hurt him, I'll sue. I'm retired. I've got time. Becca leaned over and whispered. He's hot. If you weren't gay, I'd steal him. And just like that, we were in. I didn't expect what came next. That night, as we stood in my childhood bedroom, now sporting bunk beds and Star Wars sheets, Drew took off his shirt, casually, like it was nothing. And suddenly, my fake fiancé had abs. I'm sleeping on top, he said, oblivious. My brain short-circuited. Yeah, cool. Fake fiancé, right? Totally fake. Nothing to see here. Except there definitely was. And Thanksgiving hadn't even started. Chapter 2. Stuffing, Secrets, and Suspicious Sisters. The next morning started with a turkey to the face. Not metaphorically, literally. I opened the fridge and got smacked by a 20-pound frozen bird that had been precariously balanced atop a tub of whipped cream. Welcome to Thanksgiving, Becca said from behind the fridge door, sipping pumpkin spice like it was victory juice. Good morning to you too, Satan's in turn, I muttered, cradling my face. Drew, fully dressed in a crisp button-up and slacks, who wears slacks to breakfast, waltzed in like he belonged in a Williams-Sonoma ad. "Good morning, future in-laws," he greeted cheerfully, giving my mom a peck on the cheek and me a wink that nearly sent my soul into cardiac arrest. Becca narrowed her eyes. "He's charming," she said slowly. Too slowly. "He's very charming," Mom agreed, already handing him a whisk. He offered to help cook dinner. "Do you know how long I've prayed for one of you kids to date someone who owns a whisk?" "I own a whisk," I muttered. "You used it to scratch your back, Charlie." Fair point. While the kitchen turned into a chaotic cooking show, Drew expertly folding dough like a French chef while Dad tried to deep fry a ham with a blowtorch, I was cornered by Becca. She plopped down beside me in the living room, eyeing me like a bloodhound with an algebra degree. "So," she began, "how long have you and Mr. Calendar Color Code been together?" I blinked. "For months," I lied smoothly. "What's his middle name?" "Justice." Her eyebrows shot up. "Seriously?" "Yep. Drew Justice Whitman. His parents were lawyers and also obsessed with DC Comics." She squinted. "Okay. Where'd he propose?" Botanical garden. Near the koi pond. There were butterflies. And a mariachi band accidentally interrupted. We just went with it." Becca stared for a beat too long. Then she grinned like a cat with secrets. "Cute. You always did like chaos." She walked away, suspicious but entertained, which was terrifying. Dinner time was a three-ring circus of family drama, food, and fake affection. Drew had somehow charmed everyone. Grandma called him the handsome one. Dad offered him a beer. Even the dog sat at his feet like a loyal disciple. He placed a hand on my knee under the table. A show, obviously. I didn't flinch. Not even when he leaned close and whispered, "Relax. You look like you're passing a kidney stone." "I'm trying to play it cool," I hissed. "You're sweating into the stuffing." We both froze when Aunt Valerie cleared her throat. "So, how did Drew propose, Charlie? Tell us the romantic story." Panicked. Again. Well, let me," Drew interrupted, taking my hand in his like he'd done it 100 times. His voice turned buttery. Smooth. Ridiculous. "I took Charlie to the Franklin Botanical Garden. He loves tulips. I made us a picnic, honey-roasted almonds, green apples, lemon tea. I was going to wait until sunset, but he tripped over a sprinkler, fell into the koi pond and said, 'You better marry me before I drown.' So I did." The room burst into laughter. Even I forgot to breathe. He glanced at me, lips curling. "Best day of my life." Drew winked. Again. Was he enjoying this? And why was I wishing the story wasn't fake? That night, in our Star Wars bunker bedroom, Drew threw himself on the bottom bunk with a satisfied sigh. "They love me." "You're scarily good at this," I mumbled, brushing my teeth aggressively. He smirked. "Maybe I just like keeping you on your toes." I paused. "Wait, are you flirting with me right now?" He stretched. Shirt lifted. Abs appeared. I almost dropped my toothbrush. "Wouldn't you like to know?" he murmured. Oh no, this wasn't just fake fiancé territory anymore. We were entering dangerously attractive waters. And I was already waist deep. Chapter 3. Jealousy, Jam Sessions, and a Very Real Kiss. By Saturday morning, it was official. Drew had become the Beyoncé of Thanksgiving. My parents fawned. Grandma offered him her secret pie recipe, a sacred trust never bestowed on anyone under 70. Becca, still suspicious, but now distracted by stalking his Instagram for shirtless photos, which was, unfortunately, a thing. And yes, I looked, once, or 12 times, for research. "You're jealous of your own fake fiancé," I muttered to myself while brushing my hair. "What is wrong with you?" Then Becca burst into my room without knocking. "Get dressed. Emergency." The emergency, Kyle, my high school ex-boyfriend and certified walking ego. "Kyle's here," I whispered as Becca shoved me toward the living room. "Yup. He stopped by to drop off old stuff. He's also wearing cologne and pretending not to be flexing. Prepare yourself." And there he was, leaning against the banister like a Hollister ad gone wrong, smelling of gym sweat and arrogance. "Charlie," he purred. "Still dramatic as ever?" "Kyle," I replied. "Still styling your hair like it's 2008? Then Drew entered, casually wrapping an arm around my shoulder like we'd been doing it forever. "Babe, who's this?" Kyle's jaw tensed. "I lived for it." "This is Kyle," I said sweetly. "We used to date before I discovered dignity." Kyle blinked. "So you're really engaged, huh?" Drew tightened his grip. "Oh yeah, deeply, madly, obnoxiously. And you're an actor?" "Law student," Drew replied. "But I play Charlie's devoted lover in my free time." Becca, hovering nearby like a gossip gremlin, mouthed, "Oh my God." Later that night, the annual family jam session, don't ask, kicked off in the living room. There were ukuleles, harmonicas, a rogue tambourine. Wine flowed freely. "You're up next," Mom slurred, handing me a guitar. I froze. "I haven't played since senior year." Drew leaned in. "You told me you sang in college." "Yeah, in the shower." Becca shoved us toward the couch stage. "Couple duet. Go." Panic. Full body, sweat-inducing panic. Drew whispered, "Follow my lead." And then he started strumming. Soft chords. A slow, romantic tune. I recognized it. "Can't Help Falling in Love." My chest tightened. He sang first, low and calm, the kind of voice that could make houseplants grow faster. Then I joined in, tentatively, awkwardly. But somewhere in the middle, our voices synced. And something shifted. The room disappeared. The music softened. There was just him. His eyes locked on mine. Like the lie didn't matter. Like this was real. Like we were real. And then, he kissed me. Right there. In front of my entire family. And it wasn't a quick stage kiss or a jokey peck. It was warm, slow, intentional. I heard Becca gasp. Mom whisper, "Oh my stars." Grandma dropped her fork. Drew pulled back and smiled. Just a hint. "For the performance," he murmured. But I couldn't move. Because suddenly I wasn't pretending. And I wasn't sure if he was either. We barely spoke after that. Back in our room, I changed into my pajamas in silence. He stayed on his bunk, flipping through a legal thriller, as if nothing had happened. Finally, I snapped. "That kiss. Was that part of the act?" Drew didn't look up. "Wasn't it?" You dipped me, Drew." He smirked. "It got a standing ovation." "You're enjoying this too much." He closed the book, looked straight at me. "I might be." And then he turned off the light, leaving me in the dark, and more confused than I'd ever been in my life. Chapter 4. Kitchen Disasters and Closet Confessions. I woke up to the sound of screaming, high-pitched, frantic, and unmistakably Becca. She burned the cranberry sauce. The sauce! I rolled out of bed, hair resembling a bird's nest post-hurricane, and found Drew already up, shirtless, wearing only pajama pants and a smug smirk. "Morning, fiancé," he said, stretching. Muscles. Stretching. Jesus. "This is psychological warfare," I muttered, shielding my eyes. He tossed me a robe. "Come on. We have a family to help and a reputation to maintain." The kitchen was chaos. Becca had declared war on the stovetop. My mom was sobbing over lumpy mashed potatoes. My aunt was Googling emergency pre-cooked turkeys. And Drew? Drew rolled up his sleeves like a damn Food Network star. "Let me handle this," he said calmly. Charlie prepped the green beans. Becca iced the wine glasses. Mrs. Simmons, step away from the potatoes. I don't know what kind of black magic he used, but within 30 minutes, the kitchen smelled like Thanksgiving heaven. "You're really good at this?" I whispered while snapping beans beside him. He shrugged. "Cooking is like cross-examining a witness. You add pressure, apply heat, and something always bubbles up. You're such a nerd. You like it." I did. While the turkey roasted and Drew charmed the neighbors. Yes, really, he lent them sugar and fixed their garbage disposal. I wandered into the pantry looking for the good napkins. That's when I overheard it. Becca's voice. "Close." Too close. You like him, don't you? Excuse me? That was Drew. I've known Charlie my whole life. He's never let someone touch his guitar, let alone sing with him. So either you're a professional actor or what? You're catching feelings. Silence. Painful, juicy silence. And then Drew said, softly, he's easy to fall for. I gasped, which is when my elbow hit a broom and triggered a domino collapse of doom. Canned corn, a mop, a screaming rubber chicken, and me, lying in a heap on the pantry floor. Becca and Drew stared down at me like I'd crash-landed from space. Charlie, Drew said, reaching for me. I shot up. I was just inspecting the flower. Closet's a weird place to eavesdrop, Becca muttered, arms crossed. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was napkin hunting. Find any? Yes. No. Maybe. Shut up. I stormed out, face hotter than the oven turkey. Later that night, Drew found me hiding in the backyard swing bench, nursing a cup of wine and my damaged pride. You okay? I live in a household of emotionally violent women. He chuckled and sat beside me. Close. Always close. I meant what I said, he murmured. What part? The pantry part. Oh, you mean the part where you admitted I'm incredibly lovable and easy to fall for? You forgot talented, funny, and weirdly hot when yelling at canned goods. I laughed despite myself. Then he turned serious. Charlie, is this still fake for you? I stared at him, at the boy who had kissed me like it was real, who cooked with my mom, fought with my sister, sang with me, and I whispered, it's starting to feel very, very real. He leaned in inches from me. I was hoping you'd say that. Just then, the patio light flicked on. Grandma stepped out holding a tub of Cool Whip. Anyone want pie, or are y'all gonna kiss again? We both screamed. She cackled all the way back inside. Chapter 5. Turkey Trouble and Truth Bombs. Thanksgiving dinner was a perfectly staged disaster waiting to happen. The table was a Pinterest fever dream. Tiny pumpkins, mismatched candles, my mom's antique plates we weren't allowed to breathe near. Drew looked devastatingly good in a button-down, sleeves rolled just enough to reveal forearms that should be illegal. I, meanwhile, had changed outfits 4 times and was now sweating through my nice gay son sweater. Becca whispered, you look constipated. I'm nervous. About what? I might love my fake fiancé and I'm about to break bread with my ex. She blinked. Well, that's a sitcom. Good luck with that. Dinner started okay. Mom gave a long toast about gratitude and gluten-free stuffing. Dad recited a poem. Drew charmed everyone by knowing the full Pilgrim backstory. Don't ask. Then Kyle, yes, he came back. Cleared his throat. So, Drew, how'd you and Charlie meet again? Drew smiled politely. We met on campus. Our dorms were across the hall. Cool, Kyle said, slicing his turkey like a villain. And when did you two realize you were in love? My mouth opened. Drew jumped in. It started as friendship. Late-night study sessions. Sharing snacks. I think it hit me when he lent me his last highlighter. Everyone, aw. Kyle? Smirk. Right? Kyle said. Because Charlie always hated sharing school supplies. Guess you're special. Becca kicked me under the table. Drew, bless him, stayed cool. He is. I made a strangled squeaking noise. Kyle narrowed his eyes. You guys seem close. Real close. But I've been wondering, are you really engaged? And just like that, the air turned thick. I dropped my fork. Mom gasped. Grandma clutched her pearls. Becca froze mid-sip. Drew stood, smooth as ever. Why do you ask? Kyle leaned back. Just seems fast. You've only known each other, what, a few months? Don't you think it's weird? Not as weird as showing up to your ex's family dinner uninvited. Becca snapped. Not as weird as you still caring. I added, fire bubbling up in my chest. Kyle stood too. I'm just saying, maybe this whole thing's a lie. And before Drew could respond, before Grandma could throw a dinner roll or Becca could set the table on fire, I stood. Fine, I shouted. You want the truth? The room went silent. I lied. We're not engaged. Gasped. A dropped spoon. My dad dropped the gravy boat. I looked around the table. At my family. Kyle. Then finally at Drew. We're not engaged, I said again. I panicked. I didn't want to show up alone again this year. I didn't want more questions about why I'm single, or why I haven't done anything impressive, or why I still haven't gotten over this guy. I pointed at Kyle. So I lied. And Drew helped me. No one moved. No one moved. Then Drew stood too. Calm. Collected. But here's another truth, he said. I didn't plan to fall for him. But I did. So while this might have started fake, my feelings aren't. Becca blinked. Wait, what? I love Charlie, Drew said plainly. He's neurotic, dramatic, and allergic to subtlety. But I love him. And if you don't want us here, we'll leave. The silence was deafening. Until Grandma broke it with, You're still eating pie first. And then chaos. Becca yanked me aside in the hallway after dessert. You liar. You made me complicit in your fake engagement. I panicked. You faked a boyfriend. For weeks. You built an emotional plotline. I didn't expect to actually fall in love. She froze. Wait. Seriously? I nodded. It's not fake anymore. At least not for me. Her face softened. So what now? I have no idea. That night, Drew sat beside me on the couch, dessert plate in his lap. You okay? He asked. I looked at him. This boy who'd walked into my lie and somehow become my truth. I love you too, I whispered. Just in case that was unclear. He smiled, leaned in, and kissed me soft and slow. Then he whispered, Next year, let's do Hanukkah instead. Way fewer exes. Chapter 6, Rumors, Rebounds, and a Road Trip. After the Thanksgiving dinner confession heard around the world, you'd think things would calm down. They did not. Turns out when you dramatically declare your love in front of your family and your ex, you don't just get pie and applause. You get questions. A lot of them. So when's the wedding? Do you need help planning the honeymoon? Are you taking his last name? Also, Aunt Carol suggested we use her backyard for the ceremony and handed me a Pinterest board titled Rustic Romantic. We needed to escape. So when Becca suggested a mini getaway to her friend's lake cabin a few hours away, I jumped at it. Charlie needs decompression, she told Drew. And maybe less pie. Rude but accurate. Drew smirked. I'm in. Q. A 2-hour road trip with the boy I maybe definitely loved, Becca, our reluctant chaperone, and a playlist that was 60% Taylor Swift and 40% angsty gay love songs. Somewhere after mile marker 76, Drew reached over and took my hand. Just took it. No big speech. No look. Just fingers interlocking like it was the most natural thing in the world. I melted like butter in July. Becca didn't say a word, but she turned the volume up, just enough to give us privacy behind the lyrics. We got to the cabin right as the sun was setting, painting the lake gold and pink. It was adorable, cozy, peaceful, and it had one bed. Becca's eyes widened. Oh no, I forgot. Drew and I said at the same time, It's fine. Was it? No. Did I lie? Yes. That night, after too many esmores and one too many rounds of truth or dare, which somehow led to Drew admitting he'd had a thing for me since orientation week, Becca finally retired to the loft, leaving me and Drew alone. In the one bed, I lay on the far edge. So far I was practically falling off. You know, Drew said, brushing teeth and looking unfairly good in plaid pajama pants. We've already kissed and slept next to each other. This doesn't have to be awkward. I know. Totally. Chill. Fine. I'm chill. Like an ice cube. You're vibrating. No, I'm not. He climbed into bed, and suddenly the air was thick. The kind of thick that no number of open windows could fix. The space between us? Electric. He looked over. You okay? I whispered. I'm scared. He nodded, serious now. Of what? Of this not being real. Of waking up tomorrow and it going back to fake. He reached for my hand again. Same way he had in the car. Charlie, Nothing about this feels fake to me, and I don't care how it started. I care how it ends. My throat tightened. How do you want it to end? My throat tightened. How do you want it to end? He leaned in close enough to feel his breath. With you. Always. And then he kissed me. This one wasn't polite. It wasn't for show. It was slow, aching, and real. His hand slid under my shirt, not rushing, just touching. Exploring like he had all the time in the world. And when we finally broke apart, breathless, flushed, and tangled up in sheets, he whispered, "So, about that wedding." I laughed, smacked him with a pillow, and pulled him back in. Chapter 7. The morning after. No, not that kind. I woke up warm, like full-body cocooned in boyfriend warmth kind of warm. Drew's arm was around me, his breath soft against the back of my neck, and his hand, very casually, resting on my bare stomach like he owned it. Spoiler, I liked it. Too much. I didn't want to move, but Becca did want to move, specifically into the room without knocking. She burst in with a, "Morning, lovebirds," and dropped her travel mug mid-sentence. Oh, I didn't, you're shirtless. Why are you shirtless? I shrieked. Drew just rolled over, unbothered, and smirked. Morning, Becca. Don't you morning me, mister. What did I miss while I was upstairs binging true crime and ignoring your moaning? Oh my God. I heard you. I dove under the covers. We weren't moaning. We were whispering and cuddling. That's legal. Becca crossed her arms. You whisper like a chainsaw. Drew stretched lazily. For the record, your brother is a very passionate cuddler. I screamed again. I'm evaporating. Eventually, I emerged from the room fully clothed and emotionally fragile. Becca cornered me in the kitchen while Drew made French toast like a Disney prince. Okay, she whispered. What's going on? You were fake fiancéing. Now you're what? Real fiancéing? Real boyfriending? Real somethinging? I chewed my lip. It just happened. Her eyes softened. You love him. I nodded. And he loves you? I think so. You know so, Drew called out without even turning around. Nosy and telepathic. Great. Becca narrowed her eyes. Well, I hope you're ready. For what? For what happens when you stop pretending? Because real feelings, real love, it's messy. You sure you're ready for that kind of chaos? I hesitated. Then Drew looked over his shoulder and smiled at me like I was the sun and French toast combined. I think I am. Of course. Just as I was floating on my little love cloud, I got a voicemail from Mom. Hi, sweetie. Just wanted to let you know that Aunt Carol is planning an engagement brunch for next weekend. Can't wait to see you and Drew. Everyone's so excited. Grandma ordered custom cookies. Call me back. I dropped my phone. Becca leaned in. What's wrong? I told them it wasn't real. Yeah. But then Drew said he loved you and kissed you like a Hallmark movie. That was true. But now they think the fake engagement is back on. Becca blinked. Well, what's stopping you from making it real? I stared at her. Then at Drew, flipping toast like a domestic god. Then at my phone. Then back at Drew. And that's when I realized something. I wasn't afraid of being fake anymore. I was afraid of being real and getting hurt. Later that night, we sat on the porch swing, wrapped in a blanket, watching stars blink across the lake. I took a breath. Drew, yeah, if this becomes real, like really real, you won't freak out? He looked at me seriously. Charlie, I've been waiting for it to be real since the moment you dragged me into this mess. I laughed, nervous. So, you'd do the brunch? He blinked. The what? Aunt Carol's throwing us an engagement brunch next weekend. He winced. Will Kyle be there? Almost definitely. He groaned. And Grandma. She's making personalized cookies. He paused, then leaned over and kissed my forehead. Fine, but only if I get a cookie shaped like your face. I smirked. Weirdo. You're weirdo. And for the first time since this whole lie started, I didn't feel scared of the truth. I was ready to walk into the chaos with him and maybe, just maybe, never let go. Chapter 8. Brunch? brawls, and a public proposal. The word brunch should evoke calm, joy, and pancakes. But when Aunt Carol plans brunch, it means matching monogram napkins, a 3-tier mimosa bar, and a guest list longer than my student loan statements. Also, a microphone, because of course she rented a stage. I stood outside her house with Drew, adjusting his collar and panicking like I was heading into battle. "I'm sweating through my good shirt," I muttered. "You're sweating through my good shirt," Drew said. "You stole it this morning, remember? Borrowed it for good luck." He leaned down and whispered, "If you kiss me like you did at the lake, no one will care what shirt you're wearing." "Drew, you started it, fiancé." Inside, chaos. Aunt Carol was wearing a glittery sash that read Mother of the Almost Groom, and Grandma was passing out cookies with our faces on them. Drew's cookie looked smug. Mine looked constipated. Kyle was already there, fake smiling and fake laughing with my cousins. I grabbed a mimosa, then 2, then 3. "You okay?" Drew asked, wrapping an arm around me. I nodded way too fast. "Yup, totally fine. My ex is here. My grandma is serving baked versions of my face. My aunt is about to make a speech, and I may or may not be engaged to my roommate. Totally normal Sunday." He kissed my cheek. "Let's just survive the brunch. Then I'll take you home and remind you why fake dating me was the best mistake of your life." Oh, he was dangerous. Then it happened. Aunt Carol tapped the mic. "Welcome, everyone. We're here to celebrate true love, perseverance, and the unexpected romance of Charlie and Drew." Applause. So much applause. I wanted to slide under the mimosa table. "But what's a party?" Aunt Carol said dramatically. "Without a little surprise?" I froze. Drew muttered, "What did she do?" Aunt Carol grinned. "Charlie." "Drew, come up here." Oh God. We walked to the stage hand in hand. Mostly because if he let go, I was going to fake an asthma attack. "Say a few words." Aunt Carol shoved the mic at us. I stared into the crowd. Then at Drew. Then at Kyle, who was very obviously listening. And suddenly something snapped. I grabbed the mic. "I just want to say, falling for this guy was not in my plans." The crowd chuckled. But sometimes the best things come out of total chaos. He's kind, smart, hot. Sorry, Grandma. And he makes me feel like the main character in my own life. More applause. Drew took the mic wide-eyed. I was supposed to help him lie. Just one dinner. And now, I'm standing here thinking about wedding colors and how many kids will fight over naming. Laughter. And if I'm being honest, he turned to me. My heart stopped. I don't want to stop pretending, because I'm not pretending anymore. Then he dropped to one knee. Gasped. Grandma fainted. Dramatically. "Charlie?" he said, real emotion in his voice. "Will you marry me?" My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Becca shouted from the back. "Say yes, you fool." I laughed, cried, laughed again. Then, yes, of course yes. A million fake and real times yes. Applause. Screaming. So many hugs. Even Kyle clapped, grudgingly. Later, when we were finally alone, Drew leaned against the car and grinned. "Was that too much? You proposed at a brunch with custom cookies. Romantic, right?" "Absolutely. You're insane. I love you." "Good. Because we might actually have to plan a real wedding now." And honestly, I was okay with that. Chapter 9. Cold feet, hot lips, and one last secret. Here's the thing no one tells you about fake engagements turned real. They're only fun until everyone starts treating it like a legally binding contract. 3 days after the proposal at Aunt Carol's Brunchapalooza, our inboxes were flooded. Becca made a Pinterest board titled, "Charlie and Drew's Enchanted Queer Wedding." Grandma asked if she should order rainbow communion wafers. Aunt Carol sent us a 14-tab spreadsheet titled, Operation Gay Wedding. And Drew? He was weird. Like really weird. Avoiding eye contact, stress cleaning the apartment, and whispering cryptic things like, "I need to tell you something soon." Cold sweat. Hot panic. So I did what any emotionally mature adult would do. I ran away. More specifically, I locked myself in the bathroom with a bottle of wine, texted Becca in all caps, "I think he's going to break up with me," and accidentally joined a Reddit thread titled, "Help, my fake boyfriend is now my fiancé." An hour later, Drew knocked. "You've been in there forever," he said gently. "I'm exfoliating." While crying. "It's called multitasking." He sighed. "Charlie, come out. Please." When I opened the door, he looked wrecked. Hair messy, eyes soft, mouth twisted into the saddest smile. "I need to tell you something," he said. "Oh no, here it comes. He's married," I whispered. "What? You have a secret wife, a secret baby. You're actually Canadian." He blinked. "What are you? No, Charlie, I'm not married. Or Canadian." "Then what?" He took a breath. "Remember when we first moved in together? And I said I didn't do relationships because my ex destroyed me?" I nodded. "Well, that ex was Kyle." Silence. Flatline. Every muscle in my body went still. Kyle, I whispered. He nodded. "My ex Kyle. Technically, he was my ex before he was yours." I sat down on the bathroom floor. "I'm going to pass out." "Please don't." I cleaned the floors with lemon bleach. It all came tumbling out. Drew and Kyle had dated for a year. Drew caught him cheating with multiple guys. When they broke up, Drew swore off dating entirely, until I fake proposed to him at Olive Garden. I stared at him, heart in my throat. "So, all this time you didn't tell me?" "I didn't want it to taint what we had. I didn't want him to take this from me, too." I was quiet for a long time. Then, "Okay, I'm mad. Like, really mad. I deserve that. But also," I stood up and poked his chest. "I get it. Because if our positions were reversed, I'd probably hide it too." "You would." "Absolutely. I'd just do it less awkwardly." He laughed. Relieved, warm, so very Drew. "And also," I added, wrapping my arms around him, "that explains why you hate his almond cologne. It's not almond. It's arrogance." We kissed then, soft, slow, real. No fake fiancés. No staged moments. Just us. That night, lying tangled in each other. Drew whispered, "Still want to marry me?" I smiled. "Only if you let me wear the sparkly suit. Only if I get to choreograph our first dance." "Deal." And just like that, the final secret dissolved. Because sometimes love doesn't come in perfect packages. Sometimes it arrives dressed as your hot, emotionally unavailable roommate with a lot of baggage, but also a heart worth fighting for. Chapter 10. Wedding bells, wild vows, and happily chaotic ever after. Spoiler alert. I didn't think I'd cry at my wedding. But when Grandma rolled in wearing a rainbow sequin pantsuit and winked at Drew, I lost it. Let's rewind. The wedding was in a barn. Not because we're country boys. No. Because Becca found it on TikTok and screamed, "It's giving rustic gay cottagecore realness." Also, there were goats. Uninvited ones. I was in the groom's suite trying not to puke. My sparkly navy suit was a little too tight. My vows were smudged with mimosa tears, and someone was playing Wrecking Ball on the cello outside. Drew peeked in. He looked unfairly hot. Black tux, rolled sleeves, that calm, cocky grin that meant he knew exactly what I was thinking. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. Just casually spiraling about promising my life to someone in front of my Aunt Carol and two goats named Fiancé and Feta. He walked over and kissed my forehead. "You're gonna do amazing. Just don't faint until after the cake." Smart. Sugar before collapse. He chuckled and handed me a mint. "See you at the altar, future husband." Husband. God help me. The ceremony began with a bang. Literally. The flower boy, Becca's chaotic nephew, threw petals like he was making it rain at Coachella. One goat got loose and ate the ring pillow. And Aunt Carol had to be physically restrained from grabbing the mic for a special number. But then, I saw him, Drew, walking down the aisle like he owned the universe. Eyes only on me, smiling like we were already home. And in that moment, nothing mattered. Not the lies. Not the goats. Not even Kyle sulking in the back row wearing beige. Just us. We stood together, facing each other, hands shaking. The officiant, Grandma, because of course, asked if we had vows. I nodded and pulled out my crumpled paper. Drew, I said, voice cracking. You were supposed to be my roommate, not my soulmate. Laughter. Sniffles. You showed up with a duffel bag, 3 plants, and absolutely no warning that you'd ruin my emotional stability forever. You are the most infuriating, thoughtful, stubborn, sexy disaster I've ever met. And I wouldn't change a second of it. Except maybe the part where you waited for whole months to kiss me. Drew was tearing up. Grandma fanned herself dramatically. Then it was his turn. Charlie, he said, voice soft but sure. I didn't believe in happy endings until I met you. You taught me that love can be messy, loud, weird, and still perfect. You kissed me in a parking lot. You fought off my past. You made me want more. And now I want everything with you. Even brunch with Aunt Carol. The crowd cheered. And when Grandma pronounced us married, Drew dipped me so low my foot popped like a rom-com and kissed me like we had all the time in the world. Later, during the reception, Becca gave a speech that turned into a drag performance. Kyle left early, we did not care. And Drew and I slow danced to an acoustic version of Call Me Maybe. We cut the cake. I smeared it on his nose. He licked it off with intent. And when the night ended, I pulled him outside, away from the crowd, under the fairy lights and fireflies. We actually did it, I whispered. Best fake marriage ever. I smiled. Except it's not fake anymore. He kissed me. And this time it wasn't a performance. It wasn't for anyone else. It was real. And it was ours.